Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Phones and masks, a gentle reminder. Yasya nishvasitam vedaha yo vedebhyo khilan jagat nirmametamaham vande vidyatirthamaheshwaram vakshye vividishanyasam vidvanyasancha bhedatah hetu videha muktescha JivanMuktescha taukramat. So, Vividisha, sannyasa, we have seen in quite a bit of detail. A person develops a disgust, some kind of a sentiment bordering on disgust towards the world. And this finds expression in Vedanta works like Atma Bodha, where the world is to be looked upon as bird dropping. So when you're walking under a tree and what happens? A bird blesses you with the dropping, somewhere it falls on the head or on the shoulder. What do you feel like? You can't wait to get home, to wash it off. There is that much a kind of a revulsion. And so, when one is able to look at the world, I mean, here the revulsion is, that is the word that is used, but the sentiment is slightly different. It is in the sense of the world no longer has the power to mesmerize and attract one. That is the idea. Everything has a been there, done that quality. Not a big deal. Been there, done that, been there, done that. Of what use is this? Oh, how boring. This is the idea behind sacrificing that world, the world of the familiar, with which one has grown up and which one has cultivated. And what does that comprise? It includes one's friends, significant others. It includes certain rituals. Going shopping, one such ritual. And going here, going there, going on holiday, going to work, coming back, and keeping certain obligations. And for example, the neighbor is not well, so you take them soup. Why? The question is why? Why do you take them soup? Yeah. So that when I am sick, somebody will bring soup. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. That's what it is. If not the same neighbor, somebody should do this. And so these are all the kinds of things. And participating in, other things like parties and all these things, potlucks. In America, they don't have parties. Potluck. Yeah. You bring a dish, and then other people also bring the dish, and the same topics are dished out and talked about. And then you find, if you're honest with yourself, you find that you don't particularly care for it. Then why do you go? Oh, what will others think? This is a big what will other thinkitis. This is a kind of a chronic condition. What will others think? Let them think whatever they want. No, I can't not go because they'll think something about me. And how can I wear what I wore last time? I mean, who remembers, first of all? But these are all kinds of things about which here we can use the word revulsion. Like you just say, what for? It appears pointless. Not because one is undergoing some kind of a depression, but because one is objectively not able to see the point of it all. Because one is desiring something else. This is vividisha sannyasa, and that something else is the desire to know, is the desire to go to the root of the problem of one's own existence and its reality, and to understand that the source of happiness is not the Jagat. It is in fact centered on this I, which I do not know because I suffer from self-ignorance. This is vividisha sannyasa. And then vidvat sannyasa is for who? Is for people like Yajnavalkya. We don't have any modern examples. Yajnavalkya, a sage who had, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, a sage who already knew that he was Brahman, and he did not want to be pulled back by the world and its obligations. So if you already know, then what's the point on reproducing life as you knew it? And so he wanted to just enjoy his knowledge, undisturbed by the roles, duties, etc., needing to be fulfilled. So the author in the second verse says that he is going to talk about these two kinds of sannyasa, bhedataha. Bhedataha means after distinguishing them. Distinguishing vidvat sannyasa from vividisha sannyasa. Bhedataha. Along with the distinctions, I will explain, I will illustrate. And then hetu. Hetu means the causes. Dual here. Like guruhu, guru, guravaha. Hetuhu, hetu, dual. Two causes. So these two kinds of sannyasas, like a broad distinction in the kinds of sannyasa, these two kinds of sannyasa form the hetu, the causes for two kinds of moksha. There are two kinds of moksha. Why did you wait so long to tell me that there are two kinds of moksha and I can choose? No, it's moksha is moksha. But the two articulations of moksha is what is being talked about. And what are they? Videha mukti, number one, which is associated with the former. This is because he says kramat, means respectively. I will be talking about these two sannyasas, which are the cause of two kinds of freedom, respectively. The first one is Videha Mukti, which is associated with the first one here, Vividisha Sannyasa, and then JivanMukti, which is associated with Vidvat Sannyasa. Okay? This is what I am going to explain respectively. So then what is Videha Mukti? Videha Mukti means that the it is also called krama mukti, in the sense that the person has taken sannyasa all right, has received sannyasa, and is living the life of a sannyasi, is studying, reflecting, and contemplating. All that, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, study, reflection, contemplation is going on. Yet, they are perhaps in the process of knowing and in the process of firming up the knowledge for themselves. This is we call Vividisha Sannyasa. And then it leads to, of course they feel free, they understand, they are not burdened by, there is no comparison really. They are not burdened by the problems of the people who haven't studied Vedanta. They are introspective people who have studied indeed. And then, it leads to moksha in the sense that one is truly liberated after death, one can say. Why? Because there is still the identification with the body-mind sense complex and certain identities, certain possessions, and the desire for certain lokas or fields of experiences might still be there. Okay? Then, Vidvat sannyasa, once the person knows, and then the person casts off any kind of identification with this world and roles, etc., duties and obligations, then they are immediately freed in the sense of even while living, they are JivanMuktas. These jnanis are JivanMuktas. But you see here, in this explanation, it is not a hard and fast distinction. It is not a distinction written in stone. Why? Because the place where this text is leading us is to say that the Vividisha sannyasi, the sannyasi who has taken sannyasa in order to know, has to convert herself or himself into a Vidvat sannyasi. That is the idea. Before dropping this body. This is really very important. So the sannyasa may be received in the form of Vividisha sannyasa, the sannyasa of wanting to seek, wanting to know, wanting to understand. But then the sannyasi must pursue the knowledge and convert this knowledge into not just a jnani wannabe. See, the Vividisha sannyasi is a jnani wannabe, but one who is already a jnani. And then only JivanMukti is assured. But then what is this Videha Mukti? Videha Mukti means because there is identification with the body. The identification body, because there is some kind of a, the identification with karma, with the body, etc., etc., which is the fruit of Vividisha sannyasa. It is mukti all right, because once the body is dropped, one is free. There is no difference between that and the jnani sannyasa. But then the ideal, typical situation is where the jnani wannabe becomes a jnani before the deliverance or the release from the body, so that one can enjoy this kind of a thing, enjoy this liberation called JivanMukti, which is which is characterized by the unwavering self-knowledge. One can enjoy that, and although if you have Videha Mukti, meaning rebirth is not there. In Videha Mukti, rebirth is not there, but still the identification with the body, etc., are there. And so this is what he is going to explain. Let's see if we have left any word out. Yeah, I think we have covered it. Next one. Sannyasa hetur vairagyam yadahar virajetada pravrajediti vedoktehe tadbhavedastu puranagaha. Tadbhedastu puranagaha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Together. Sannyasa hetur vairagyam. Yeah. We'll do it together. Yeah. Sannyasa hetur vairagyam yadahar virajetada pravrajediti vedoktehe tadbhutastu puranagaha. Then, if we ask the question, why sannyasa? Why would one go for this kind of a lifestyle, which at best is uncomfortable and at worst, brings up all the nightmares that of one's life that one has not yet resolved? Why would one choose this? The answer is vairagya, dispassion, which is in the form of a mild revulsion to all those kinds of occupations which other people delight in and which perhaps oneself delighted in before the dawning of the knowledge that this is not for me. So this is what is vairagya. The same activities previously was a source of delight. Now, so two scenarios. Scenario number one, the activities which are previously were a source of delight now fail to arouse any kind of happiness. Very boring they seem. Why should I bother? Why should I do this? And then, of course, if you are like this for more than 3 days in a row, friends start dropping from the life. Because who will want to hang around, Who will want to hang around such people? No one. Not a single person, because they will all say, what's wrong with you? Do you want to go to a restaurant? No, not particularly. Do you want to go to see a movie? No, I think they're all the same, Something or the other happens, same plot, same thing. Everybody goes through the same thing. Well, why bother? No need to go to a movie. Do you want to listen to some music? No, it gives me a headache. And do you want to just instead do some new activity? Maybe we can go to some place, we can go for vacation, we can go for a hike. No, it's all the same. Vacation is also the same. What is vacation? Mountains or water? Or a combination of the two. And I've been there, done that. What's there? No. If this is what is coming from the heart, and if you're honest about it, then very soon the people around you will help your sannyasa, because they will stop calling and inviting you to do things. It's better to have an appointment in their minds with a wet rag than you. Why would they do that? Because you're rebuffing them all the time and you're saying, this is boring, this is uninteresting, I have already seen this, I've already done this. And then besides, what's the point? Why should we do this? And so, this is also the jnana phala. When you start studying Vedanta also, something like this happens. And people tell me very frequently, until I started to study with you, I was a happy person. then of course I have to ask them, what do you mean? You're not happy now? No, I'm happy, but I was a different kind of a happy person. Please explain. I was just a regular person. I used to go to malls and balls and, have my own life and everything. Certain things I enjoyed. I enjoyed movies. I enjoyed these. These were my hobbies, X, Y, Z. And now, none of those things delight me anymore. Oh, that's good. That means you're interested in Vedanta. That doesn't delight me that much either. So one finds oneself betwixt, and between a rock and a hard place. That means one is in transition, really. One is in transition. One has enough, there is enough rise of knowledge, jnanodaya, to eschew these kinds of things, knowing that they are pointless, these kinds of activities in which precisely one used to delight, because one now knows. One knows too much. One knows that this is not going to lead to the place where I want to go. That's why those activities, it's easy to question and drop. But yet, grabbing hold of this has not been fully, that transformation has not been fully effected. This is what it is. So, sannyasa hetuhu vairagyam. So, this vairagya is a very important thing. First is viveka, which is already in the title. JivanMukti Viveka, knowing that this is what I want. What I want is to be not alienated. What I want is that oneness which I sense, which I know can be mine. And what I want is to be connected with the whole and to discover I'm non-separate from that which is the source of the universe. This is what I want. And at the same time, to give up the things that I do not want and I know that will not take me to this place is a process. Vairagya is a process, it's cultivated. So the first one, knowing what I want. And what do I want? I want the limitless, not the finite. I want the infinite. This is Viveka. Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. The ability to distinguish between the lasting and the non-lasting is called Viveka. Then, along with that, its twin brother is Vairagya. The ability to drop the non-lasting should be a logical next step. It's not just that I'm able to distinguish between what is lasting and non-lasting. And then once I'm able to distinguish, I have to cultivate the ability to let go of that which is impermanent. If I say I have the Viveka, I know what is permanent and I know what is impermanent, and therefore what? I will still pursue the impermanent. This is Duryodhana logic. Somewhere he is supposed to have said, although no one can find this passage, somewhere in the Mahabharata or I don't know where else, it could be, somewhere he is purported to have said, Janami dharmam. I know the correct thing. Nachame pravrittihi. But I don't feel like doing the right thing. I know what is the right thing, but I don't feel like doing it. Janami adharmam cha. I know what is wrong. Nachame nivrittihi. But I am not free of letting go of what is incorrect. Kenapi devena hridisthitena yatha prayunktosmi tatha karomi. I am under the enslavement of some being sitting in the heart, and however it enslaves me and leads me to whichever place I am just going to be led. This is not the right kind of a thing. So Viveka and Vairagya, that's why they go together, because when you know that you want the infinite, the next step is to drop association with repeated association and reproduction of the finite. Because the more one is mired in the finite, the infinite is not, the infinite as oneself is not being looked upon, is not being attended to. So this is called vairagya. So sannyasa hetuhu, the cause of this sannyasa, renunciation, is what? Vairagyam. And what is vairagya in the Upanishad? I mean, vairagya in the Upanishad is described in a very drastic way. You feel like dropping it, drop it. That's why it's called dropping, bird dropping. You have to consider it as mildly causing this mild revulsion, like even having a bird dropping on the head or the shoulder, you immediately want to wash it off. So same thing. And the same thing is described in the Upanishads in different ways. In the Mundaka Upanishad, before one studies the Mundaka Upanishad, one has to do a vrata. Vrata means a kind of an austerity, a penance. And what does one have to do? You have to first shave the head. Oh, that's easy. I'm already bald, said one person. This is easy. This is a no-brainer. What hair? This is not a hair-raising issue. I don't have hair, so this is not even applicable to me. I can just go. No problem. Then what? That's only the part A of the ritual. What is part B? Part B is that you take some live coals, live fire actually, with some coals and some twigs burning in a metal pan. Put it over the newly shaved head. And then make 3 rounds of the Guru's ashram. Yeah. Better choose a small ashram, okay? So that the perambulations will be quick. So, otherwise, if it's thousands of acres, forget it. So you make 3 rounds, and then that live coal from the head, you put it at in front of the Guru and say, "Please teach me." So this is the representation of the vairagya. Because when your head is on fire, when your hair is on fire, when the head is on fire, let's say, one is standing here, you're standing here, and then maybe about, half a quarter mile away, there is the body of water. And what does the person with the head on fire want to do? Rush over there, run over there, and dunk the head in the cool waters. That's all the thought is. And the person running from this point A, wherever one is standing, to point B, which is this lake or pond, does not look to the left or look to the right. Does not see that there is a Starbucks there and think about having coffee and then going to the lake. No. Does not say, "Oh, here's the laundry. I need to drop off some dry cleaning." No. "Oh, I need to pick something for somebody else." No. You don't see anything else except that lake, pond, some body of water, stream, river, anything. You just run to it. That is the idea here. In this Mundaka Upanishad, Shiro Vratam. So it says very clearly at the end, do not teach this Upanishad to anybody who has not undergone this particular austerity, meaning they don't have the interest, such a deep interest to know, this jignasa is not there, do not teach it to them. So this is the Mundaka Upanishad. And the same Mundaka Upanishad is also going to talk about what to do when this kind of vairagya comes and how to cultivate the vairagya. Little later it's going to talk about. And there it says, very famous verse, Parikshya lokan karmachitan nirvedam ayat. So once you examine, take your time, examine all the fields of action, all the fields of areas of action and its result. Like for example, you have action and then it produces certain result. You look at that carefully, objectively. Take your time. Nirvedam ayat. Then finally, you gain a dispassion. Why? Because you have viveka. What is the viveka? Nasti akritaha kritena. Akritena karmana. Kritena karmana akritam nasti. By actions that are performed, that which is not a product of action, I can never gain. What is not a product of action? You. You are uncreated. You are not a product of action. And you are the one that is limitless. Limitlessness is not a product of action. Because if it were, it would become finite. That which is infinite is not created, doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. It is in fact you and you alone. And so, then what happens? You move from the realm of action to the realm of self-knowledge. From the realm of action to the realm of self-knowledge, this movement happens because of dispassion and because of the viveka. The two go together. Because of the wisdom that I want that which is uncreated and which is myself, and how can I get the uncreated by action, by reproducing something I cannot get, because it is not the infinite. Brahman is not a product of action. So therefore I move into the realm of knowledge. I am never away from Brahman. I am Brahman, but I do not know. I have mistaken myself to be something other than Brahman. So I go back to the realm of understanding and knowledge. Tad vijnanartham. Then finally, in order to understand this, Saha, this person of pure heart, goes to the teacher. May one approach the teacher. Gurumeva abhigachet. May one approach the teacher alone. There is an emphasis, teacher only, because there is no other way of gaining this. May one approach the teacher. Samitpanihi, hands filled with twigs. Hands full of twigs. Twigs are for the yajna. If the teacher is a grihastha, you take some twigs because the teacher has to do yajna every day. If the teacher is a householder. If the teacher is not a householder, this is just a metaphorical expression of being ready to do any kind of seva in order to gain this knowledge. Seva means service. And then it also tells what kind of teacher to choose. Shrotriyam, first qualification of the teacher, so that one is not bamboozled. Shrotriyam means one who has studied under a sound lineage, which does not, where the words of the Upanishad are not distorted and are given exactly how it is, according to the oneness that it expresses. That's the first qualification. The teacher should be well studied. The teacher should have studied from his teacher, who studied from her teacher, who studied from his teacher, like that. Then Brahmanishtham, an added qualification, is wonderful if it is present, that the teacher is basically a contemplative person, just who is enjoying oneself as Brahman, doesn't have any other activity other than Brahman. This is, in the mind. This is hard to delineate. You can't go sit in the head of the teacher and find out Are you thinking about, the races? Or are you thinking about Brahman? Or are you thinking about world news? You can't find that out. So better go with Shrotriya. At least one will not be misled. This is the idea. So in this way, the whole approach is laid out in the Upanishads. And then again we have a similar kind of a thing in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Shanto danto titikshuhu samahito bhutva parivrajet. So after gaining certain emotional and mental qualifications of calmness, of a certain kind of a resolved mind, where one is not always anxious, worried, etc. Tranquility, cheerfulness. And then the other qualification is that of Danta, meaning the one who has a say over their organs of action. Titikshuhu, the one who has forbearance, is not complaining about all the things that are not okay all the time. Samahitaha means single-minded, focus. Bhutva, having done that, having been in this place, parivrajet, may one take to a life of sannyasa. So there is some kind of an internal preparation that is very much talked about. In the Mundakopanishad, Viveka and Vairagya are highlighted, and in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, from the little piece that I quoted, the other qualifications are highlighted. All the other qualifications where the mind is tamed and the strong preferences and prejudices are kept in check, and one is not a reactive individual. One is not always reactive. So this is the idea. And then one more Upanishad is there from which this second line quotation has been taken, and that one is called the Jabala Upanishad. I think it's the fourth mantra or something like that there. And then what is that called? It says, Yad ahareva virajet. This is the line. It has been modified to fit the meter. Yad ahareva virajet, tad ahareva pravrajet. Which means the day one gets even the slightest whiff of dispassion, may one immediately renounce, and that, that very day itself. Eva means, the emphasis. That day alone, when one gains dispassion, on that day alone, one should renounce. And because this eva comes twice, it means something. What does it mean? It's that one must not delay the renunciation. First thing. Second thing is, until dispassion comes, one should not renounce prematurely. One must not, renounce prematurely. Otherwise, what will happen? One will take to a life of sannyasa, all right, but one will face a lot of difficulties along the way. One will be discontented ananda. One will be sad ananda. One will be complaining ananda. Angrananda, because the things are not going one's way. So therefore, please put your affairs. Here, affairs doesn't mean some retirement plan, etc. Internal affairs. Put your internal affairs, your emotional affairs in order before taking this step. Because once you've taken this step, there is no coming back. Once you're a sannyasi, it's just, what else will you be other than bad mood ananda? So this is, So therefore, better to do the preparation beforehand. And how does one gain this preparation? Just through living life. Because if you live life according to however you are living it, then definitely what will come? Don't get all Vedantin on me and say vairagya will come. No, disappointment will come, despair will come, disillusionment will come, disenchantment will come, heart sickness will come, sense of loss and bereavement will come. Oh, but you're painting this terrible picture. Out of that, vairagya will come. If you so desire, and if you are able to direct the mind, direct the heart towards this dispassion, towards this, then the life experiences which are difficult to assimilate can be used for self-growth. That is the idea. So, yad ahareva virajet, tad ahareva pravrajet. There is also something to this meaning in the Jabala Upanishad. We have a very nice set of sannyasa Upanishads. Sannyasa Upanishad. 4 or 5 are there. And Jabala Upanishad also comes under this category, which discusses renunciation. And there it very clearly says that the idea to renounce or the idea to go on this path of renunciation is a very auspicious idea. Shubha Ichha. Because it's going to pave the way to gain this knowledge. And knowledge is what you need to be redeemed from this impossible cycle of wanting to produce happiness when happiness, limitlessness is you and not a product. And so therefore, it says that when you get this slight moksha, a little flicker of the desire for freedom, listen to that voice, look at that flicker, give voice to that voice, give some airtime. Don't ignore that calling, because it is really a calling that must not be ignored. Because if you ignore it and say, maybe tomorrow, then we already know one very good thing about tomorrow, that it never comes. Tomorrow means it won't happen, because all the chronic pains, sorrows, insecurity, fear of how to lead one's life, or what will happen to me, or what will people think, what will they say, all these things crowd the mind and then stop the person from going forward. This is why it is said that the day one gets that, because this is from Bhagavan alone, the day one gets this idea, I think I'm made for this, or I think I need to listen to this, please listen to this, because it may not come the next day. It may be a fleeting thing, and before we know it, the idea is gone, and one is again mired in the finitude of the everyday. And this is what is said about vairagya, that vairagya is difficult to come by. And when it comes, embrace it quickly and immediately. And then vairagya also, in the next verse, is divided. How is it divided? Let us find out. 4 and 5 go together, so we'll chant them together. Viraktir dvividha prokta tivra tivratareti cha satyameva tu tivrayam Nyasye yogi kuticake शक्तो बहुदके तीव्र शक्तो बहुदके तीव्र तरायां हंस संज्ञिके बहुदके तीव्र तरायां हंस संज्ञिके मुमुक्षुः परमे हंसे साक्षात् विज्ञान साधने टुगेदर विरक्तिर्द्विविधा प्रोक्ता तीव्रा तीव्रतरेति च सत्यामेव तु तीव्रायां न्यस्येद्योगी कुटीचके शक्तो बहुदके तीव्रतरायां हंस संज्ञिके मुमुक्षुः परमे हंसे साक्षात् विज्ञान साधने विरक्ति means vairagya. Virakti dvividha prokta. Virakti, the word is feminine, so everything else is also feminine. Dvividha, of two kinds, prokta, it is said. It is said that indifference to the world or the desire to renounce, vairagya, dispassion, is of two kinds. Tivra. Tivra viraktihi. Tivra means strong. So the first kind is strong. Oh, the other kind must be weak. No. Tivratara. Stronger yet. So, very nice positive way of looking at it. Two kinds of vairagya, strong and stronger. That's the first line. Viraktihi dvividha prokta tivra tivratara iticha. Iticha means in this manner it is classified. Now, what happens to, it doesn't talk about what is tivra. What is the strong variety, it doesn't talk about. But it talks about what happens to the person who has the tivra variety of virakti. Satyam eva tu tivrayam means when, this is an absolute locative construction, which means when there is the variety called tivra, when that exists, nyasyed, may the yogi who has been blessed with this kind of a vairagya, nyasyed, may one renounce the world and take to a life of sannyasa called kuticaka. What is this kuticaka? We'll see presently. It is also called kutichara. Kutichaka, kutichara, same thing, same word. So we had first a division of sannyasa, a broad division, correct? What were they? What was that? Vividisha and Vidvat. So now, little more smaller various kinds of sannyasa are talked about. Who knew that there were kinds of sannyasa? So if there is a strong dispassion, you can have a kind of a sannyasa called kutichaka or kutichara. What is this kutichaka or kutichara? This is often taken, at least in the ancient times, and even recently also have seen, where the person has some difficulties, like some chronic illness or something like that, not suited to sannyasi life. But the tradition is very generous. Still, you have the right to renounce. So what is done is that they may live in the compound of their benefactors, usually the family, sons, daughters, children, whoever it might be. They live in the same, what is that called in America? There is a in-law. What is it? In-law apartment, yes. So some kind of a arrangement where there is a small little studio in the back of the house or on the side of the house somewhere, and then it's separate. And then food can go from the main house to them. They are taken care of, but they are spending their time in study, contemplation. Everybody is making a mental note. I think I can do this. I think this is sounding good. And also the other reason to do this is like if somebody has a disability, either a chronic illness or disability, cannot go around. Where will they go? They can't go, even I'm talking of in the ancient times, begging for alms, etc. Where would they go? They can't go, they can't walk perhaps, or they can't hear, they cannot see. Some problem is there. And so this kind of sannyasa, a safe haven where they have a roof over their head which nobody is going to take it away because it's the family, and it's the elder in the family has moved to the house, the in-law unit or whatever it's called, guest apartment unit, and is there and is taken care of. Food is provided, everything is there, and then they are not disturbed, and they can do whatever they want. So this is like a safe sannyasa. Vairagya is there, but then what the text does not discuss is the maybe advanced age or disability or some other inability, chronic illness, etc., because of which you can't take up any other kind of a sannyasi lifestyle. So the two, Vividisha and Vidvat are the kind of sannyasis, and here this is kind of sannyasas. Here it is talking about the lifestyle itself. Here it's talking about the lifestyle. So this is the Tivra. So in the Tivra, then, so two kinds of sannyasa are discussed in the Tivra and two other in the Tivratara. So the first kind is Kutichaka. Kutichara means the one who moves in the kuti. Kuti means little cottage. Kuti. And then the other, if the person is Shaktaha. Shaktaha means able-bodied. Then you take to another kind of a lifestyle of sannyasa called Bahu Udaka. Udaka, water. Bahu Udaka means the person who frequents various kinds of watering places like lakes, rivers, etc. Because usually the places of pilgrimage, the holy places, are on the banks of rivers and streams and lakes. And this is a place where food is given, because any devotees, householders coming to offer, offer their worship, see the sannyasis sitting in front of the temple, and definitely food is given. And the temple itself, or they give a donation to the temple, and the temple has a kitchen and food is cooked over there, and that food is eaten. So food will be there, and then if they are able-bodied, they just go near the watering places, watering pilgrimage areas. And the nice thing about this is that you don't have to stay in one place. In fact, you are advised not to. Every 5 days, 3 days, 7 days, 11 days, one keeps moving about one place to another. This is a challenge for oneself, because one doesn't want to be habitually attuned to one area, get attached to that area, get attached to the food in that area, and get attached to the devotees in that area. What did you bring me from the city this time? These kinds of things may not be there. So you just keep going to new places, keep yourself fresh and uninvolved with anybody or anything. So you train yourself to become impervious to whether it is accolades or brickbats. So whatever it is, you just are in your life. So this is what is called the Bahudaka lifestyle of a sannyasi. So Bahudaka sannyasi is a lifestyle. Kutichaka also is a lifestyle. So within these two categories, which are of sannyasa itself, here we are talking of sannyasi lifestyles. Okay, this is how the distinction goes. Then, tivra tarayam hamsa samnike. So then the other kind of sannyasa is called hamsa sannyasi. Hamsa, who is this hamsa sannyasi? What is this hamsa? Hamsa means it's kind of a mythical bird, kind of like a swan. And what does it do? What is its claim to fame? It is supposed to be able to, like supposing you give it some milk to drink with 50% water mixed in it. It's able to siphon off the milk and leave the water behind. Thank God it's a mythical bird, because the milkmen in India will not like it at all. Yeah. If it did that. So, it's a mythical bird. And this separating of the milk and water means, again in the Atma Bodha and all, we have these verses, separate the chaff from the rice. Whatever is useless, it throws away. This is, it embodies vairagya, because it takes what is needed. The milk, of course, is Atma Jnanam, and the water is everything else, the Jagat and all the other activities of the Jagat. It is able to just take the milk and throw away the water. And so the sannyasi lifestyle, named after this mythical bird, is of course little more, needs little more vairagya. And it comes under the tivratara virakti. And so hamsa sanyate means known as the hamsa. And so, as is expected, this person will have more vairagya than kutichara, and even more vairagya than bahudaka. That is the idea. And because and what characterizes the hamsa sannyasi is that they have given up not only things in this world, the desire for things in this world, but the penchant to go to some place after death and settle down. That also is given up completely. But it is also said in, I forget which one of the sannyasa Upanishads, that the hamsa sannyasi still has a longing for Brahmaloka. What is Brahmaloka? A place where you go to study the Upanishads from Brahmaji. And how do you get there? With a lot of effort. All your waking time, you have to be doing yajna and meditation. Both, one after the other, you keep doing. And then perhaps you will go there after this whole life. And then what? Then you go sit in front of Brahmaji. And then you find out Brahmaji is teaching JivanMukti Viveka. So, then of course you feel wistful. Because without any of those austerities, you could have had that right in the Bhuloka itself. So this is Brahmaloka. And the Hamsa sannyasi still may have a longing for Brahmaloka, because somehow that one loka, because it is connected with study and all, one is not able to give that up. Then beyond even this Hamsa sannyasi is what is called Paramahamsa sannyasi. And tomorrow we will see the distinctions between Hamsa and Paramahamsa. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadag Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.